Hello and welcome to today's video as we go over Worlds 2024, the 1-2 matchups, I guess, 1 win, 2 losses. Weibo, Fnatic, Team Liquid Gam, losers went home, and then preview the last round of knockouts for Swiss stage. So predictions went 2-0. I thought Weibo would win 2-0 against Fnatic. It was an ugly series between two teams that really just didn't want to win in games 1 and 2. And then Team Liquid Gam ended up going 3 games. I expected Levi to be able to take one, and it was more so Kiaya doing that work in game 1, but we'll discuss that. So first, Weibo Fnatic. Games 1 and 2, the team that had the most control, which is something I started this Worlds where, we take golden objectives and look at who is actually in the lead. In game 1, Fnatic actually were in the lead for 44% of the... No. Yes, Fnatic won, being in the lead for 44% of the game when you combine gold and Drake. So Weibo really had the control. But then in game 2, it swapped. Fnatic were in control for 62% of the game, but Weibo found a way to win. And then in game 3, Weibo just kind of ran Fnatic over. Fnatic had nothing else left, and it was pretty clean, 93-7 split, giving Weibo a 60-40 split of control for the whole series. Light, 17, 4, and 11, 29% of damage, played MF and then Ezreal twice. Noah, 10, 3, and 28, played Varus, MF, and Ziggs. Sorry. I knew I'd screwed up. This glare took away this. Here, I had an arrow to swap. Obviously, Noah. That was Xiaohu's stats. So Xiaohu, 10, 3, 28, playing Lucian, Ori, Ari. And then Noah, 15, 6, 10, 33% of damage, Varus, Misfortune, Ziggs. So game 1, Fnatic came out firing. They came out firing. Once they had an opportunity in game 1, they took it. Noah outplaying Light big time in that one. And then a lot of people thinking, oh, well, look, Light's not performing. Who thought he would be as good as Elk? This, that, and the third. But in games 2 and 3, Light came through on a high level on the Ezreal, a couple quadra kills. Very strong performance. Tarzan doing a little bit better. Xiaohu on the Lucian. I mean, it's one of his best champs. He's one of the best Lucians of all time, win rate wise. But in game 1, it just left a lot to be desired. And hell, Light on MF left a lot to be desired. Crisp not really setting him up. Tarzan not setting him up. And it did not work. Did not work at all. But as the series went along, even in game 2, Fnatic has, Fnatic are in control. But Weibo pull it in. They win key team fights. They get the job done. Ori, very strong pick in this tournament. And then in game 3, it just wasn't happening for Fnatic at all. Weibo start making plays when Fnatic have no answer. The Ziggs is not really something that we've seen succeed all that much at this tournament. It kind of feels like a bait pick at this one. Win rate wise, Smolder mid is also another weird thing. Now I will give Fnatic some credit despite the spot being terrible for Swain. The willingness to play Swain says a lot about, it's double-edged sword, I guess. It does kind of show how desperate Fnatic felt at the time because it was a terrible spot, but also that they actually had some things cooked up that they wanted to try. And, of course, it was go big or go home at that moment, and they certainly went home because the Swain did nothing for Humanoid. Humanoid struggling in this series, in my opinion, not really stepping it up like you'd like him to over Xiaohu as the game went along. That was definitely the matchup that we were really unsure of how it was going to go. Swain was such a weird pick. It really was. How are Weibo going to do tomorrow? We'll talk about in a moment, but Fnatic season's over. Fnatic fans are upset that they continue to finish second, third place, go to Worlds, and can't really do anything. That's kind of a whatever situation to me. I really don't think, they believe the grass is greener if they get rid of Humanoid, if they do this and they do that, but theoretically the grass could very well not be greener, and then they're going to blame management when really it should be the fans that were upset that should be at fault more so than management. Because, hell, Fnatic have one of the best records in the LEC the last several years, right? Over the entirety, outside, probably third, right? Behind Madden and G2. So that is what it is. Is there room for improvement? Sure, but I think, they're they're getting antsy, and the grass is not always greener, and we do have to accept the consequences for that if it does not end up being greener. And oftentimes fans don't do that part. They just kind of just spew shit and think that it's all okay. Team Liquid and GAM Esports. TL win 2-1. So banning out Levi in game 1, not giving him the Nocturne, and then games 2 and 3, Umpty playing it himself. First time in 5 years, over that time period, actually. LCK Summer 2019 is when he played it, not even at Worlds Tournament in October. Yeon, 11-4-21, 31% of damage. Ezreal, Kaista, Ezreal. Umpty, 11-4-24, Maokai, Nocturne. Kiaya, 8-9-8, 30% of damage in the loss. Carrying for GAM again. Jax, Gnar, and Jax. So, game 1, so this series very different than that one. Now, the control ends up being actually almost the same at 60-40. But when we look at who won these games and how they did, it was just control. Like, you could say, oh, well, the gold was close for a long time. Yes, but GAM were actually in the lead of game 1 for 94% of the minutes played. And it went like 40 minutes, don't get me wrong. Liquid dragged it out. Liquid almost turned it around at points. But they were never actually in the lead. Then you look at the games 2 and 3. GAM were only ahead for 2 total minutes. So in the end, Team Liquid are in control 60-40. Because game 1 went so long for GAM. Game 1, though, Kiaya on the Jax was a menace. I mean, a real menace. If I recall game 1, yes, it was Jax into Aurora. And I don't know why they put Impact on a carry. That was an ugly composition. Aurora, Tristana, Ezreal. Like, what are we doing with all this damage along with the Maokai? It did not work at all. It did not work at all. Impact got ran over by Kiaya. And then in game 2, they run back almost the same composition in the case of GAM. 4 of the 5 picks are the same. It's Vi, Ori mid, I think. And then Ash Braum. But top lane, they go with Gnar instead of Jax. You got to give Kiaya more of a carry-oriented champion in that one. He is the guy making things happen, and into Impact, Impact's able to limit the impact of Kiaya. Levi on the Vi doesn't have enough to really get shit done. Game 1, his Vi was super strong. I think it even solo killed Impact at one point. But the point still remains that it just wasn't enough from the composition didn't allow GAM's topside to do enough. And they were the ones that had to get shit done. And then in game 3, we see a Levi Wukong pick, but Akali mid for emo. I am not a big Akali guy. I really am not a big fan. So this composition with Jax and Akali and Wukong, it wasn't something I was feeling at all. Easy love on the Jhin. We had a Poppy support. It was an ugly composition for Blue Side. I thought that they could have done a much better job with that, with the draft. And who knows what would have happened otherwise. Because I thought GAM played pretty damn well in game 1. It was nice to see them take a game. I did this about Maple. I'm doing it about Levi again. Levi, hopefully people remember Levi after this tournament. Those that didn't watch several years ago, just how good he was. Especially against Mad Lions when when he's playing the Nocturne and he was playing the Wukong. Those 2 picks are his. Going into this game 3, he has an 85% win rate on Wukong across 54 games in his career. You're not probably going to find somebody with a better Wukong win rate. And then the response would be yes, but he did that domestically for the most part. He did that against Vietnam. That's not as impressive. You're right. Let's look at international. Going into this game, he was 8-3 on the Wukong internationally. So, that's a pretty damn strong win rate as well. 8 out of 11, we're looking at a 77% win rate. And now, of course, 8-4, so it's 67. But the point was, look at how crazy high that was. You know, that just is a small glimpse. We saw them flash the Karthus pick for a second in draft. Levi's Karthus was it last year or the year before against Top Esports? Stuff like that. No, it was the year before. DRX, Rogue, Gam, and Top. But that's another example, right? Just Levi, like Maple, was very important domestically to the game in their respective minor regions, bringing the game along. And hopefully Kiaya can replace Levi in that respect. Kiaya isn't super young, so Vietnam's going to need some more faces coming up. I know that we do have people in the Discord that really support Vietnamese League of Legends. And have said there are good players out there, but you know they don't have the name value that Levi has, right? They don't have that international experience. Hell, they've been losing to Levi, right? So now they're gonna have to step it up. They're gonna have to play at a higher level. It's not like necessarily I could theoretically see a world where Fofo gets picked up by PSG to replace Maple, and I mean, that's almost going to be a wash in terms of skill. Fofo may have even been better than Maple at this point in their careers. So, I mean, that's theoretically a replacement, but you don't have a replacement, in my opinion, for Levi. At least not one that has any, games under their belt at a high level of play that would warrant actually saying that they are a replacement. So, that's a thing. Preview for tomorrow. So, a lot of people upset about this. We got D plus Weibo. So 2 teams that we thought, they might not get into quarters. Well, one's guaranteed to get into quarters. BLG G2. So now this is a rematch of last year when BLG sent G2 home. It was go big or go home for both teams. Once again, it's happening. G2 have had a tough schedule. They had to play HLE, Weibo, T1, and now BLG. They have not had an easy Worlds. This format sucks, but we all opt into it when we sign up to play League of Legends, right? In LOL Esports. It is what it is. I hate most of these damn formats. The only format that's actually good is like the LCK regular season format, I think is like pristine. I think that thing is just great. Outside of that, I mean, every format has issues, and this one has plenty. And then TL FlyQuest, we have an NA rematch to guarantee an NA team goes to Worlds quarterfinals. Definitely a weird situation, to put it lightly. So D plus Weibo, they've never played against each other at an international event. So we're going to go through some matchups here. Kingen and Breathe played against each other at Worlds 2022. During play-ins, Kingen on DRX, the eventual world champions, would go 2-5-12 with 24% of damage in that one. Now, Breathe won that lane going 4-4-3, 30% across the entire game, but was ahead 1,275 gold and had a solo kill in that game. Aiming and Light played against each other in a best of 3 was it a best of 3? No, it was one game. KT and Weibo last Worlds. Aiming would be dominant in that one on a Kaisa. For KT, going 14-3-7, 39% of damage, up nearly 700 gold. Light, 3-2-8, 36% of damage in the loss on a Sivir. Technically, Showmaker and Zhao, who have not laned against each other across the entire series at MSI 2021. That was the year Zhao who played top lane and won MSI. Into then Damwon Kia, but Showmaker was in mid, so that's why I don't have that listed on here. Otherwise, they have not crossed paths. BLG G2, last Worlds, BLG would win 2-1. Elk led the team in damage, going 11-8-26 with 36%. Hansama 13-9-8, 26% of damage in the loss. G2 are going to have to come out with something different. When they played in their last series against T1, I said that was very bland and standard. Ori Nocturne was everyone's doing Nori, combine them, why not? Ori Nocturne, everyone's doing it. G2 did not add any flair at all. and they lost, and in my opinion, in part because of that, because they need to have flair, they need to offer something to have a chance. Look at what FlyQuest did to HLE and G2 has done for years now. You have to be willing to do something different. So tomorrow, if G2 come out with Nocturne Ori, they deserved to not move on to quarterfinals because there was no innovation here from this team. Now Cap said they have innovation. He said it a couple days ago, right? Before even the T1 G2 series, that they had, you know, different things that they still had to show. This is when you're going to have to show them. Go big or go home. And if they don't, then as far as I'm concerned, the loss is not because of format as much as because this team just didn't want to innovate. It stalled out. Lastly, Team Liquid FlyQuest. Over summer, so since Jensen was replaced by Quad, these two teams have played each other 12 times, splitting 6-6. So this is the tiebreaker here. Somebody is going to quarters and the other one isn't. Quad 13, 12, 24, 30% of damage in the last series, which was finals. Excuse me. Where Fly would win 3-1. APA 16, 13, 11, 29% of damage in the loss. Interestingly enough, going into this one, FlyQuest coming off of a loss, I feel like have a little more pizzazz than Team Liquid because of that new pick. In particular, that's just an example. FlyQuest offer flair with that top side. Inspired has a crazy good champion pool. Bwipo's champion pool is insane. Quad is kind of weird, playing Cassiopeia mid when it stinks. Bot lane duo, we'll see how they perform. Masu Busio, this is the biggest moment they've played in their career. How are they going to do against Eon and Core JJ? Core JJ has played at the highest level. That's the matchup there. Impact and Bwipo is a wash. The bot lane matchup is the one to make this, in my opinion. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.